For our third panel of the day, which is on well-being secrets to do with the mind, body, and the soul. I'm super excited to have this stellar panel that managed to come together for today. So, Devasmita Sinha is our hi, Devasmita. Thank you so much for joining us. Such a pleasure. Devasmita is a
Hello.
psychologist. Devasmita Sinha is a psychologist and clinical director for Mana Wellness. And Mana Wellness is also our well-being partner for this panel. So thank you so much for joining in, Devasmita.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Pooja Makhija, a celebrity nutritionist, author, and entrepreneur. She runs her platform Nourish by Pooja Makhija, where she gives amazing advice on what you should put in your body. And I love your line, Pooja, where you talk about you're not only what you eat, but you're also what you cheat. Thank you, Pooja. And
Most
we have
welcome.
with us Sumaya Dalmia, one of the leading fitness and wellness experts in the country and founder of Delhi's first state-of-the-art personal training studio. She's the face behind the well-known brand Sumaya. I know she had a live.
Hey,
Hi, Sumaya.
how
Thank
are
you so much.
you? How are you? Not at all. How are you?
Very well. So back-to-back conversations for you, Sumaya. Hectic afternoon
Back-to-back
slash evening.
conversations for me, but it's the Saturdays are for conversation, so it's exciting.
Lovely. Thank you for joining in. So we have about 40 minutes to go, and I want to make the most of it. So going to start off with you, Sumaya. I really believe in the power of storytelling. And I think what we witnessed the last 2 years, right? The way gyms have been ravaged. And I know you've been personally and professionally affected by COVID. So I'd love for you to talk about how you've taken care of your own well-being, Sumaya.
Uh, I think well-being and fitness and wellness is something that I've just grown up with from being into professional sport to following this on as my career. So it's something that stayed with me. Consistency is key. So I've never had any on and off moments. Of course, I've had days which are not so active and days which are active. So for me, fitness has stayed alongside who I am, makes a lot of who I am also. Coming to COVID, I think it's affected everyone, not just the fitness industry. Actually, if anything else, people woke up to actually realizing that wellness was beyond just aesthetically how you looked. It was beyond how you trained. It was a lot to do with your immunity, and immunity is an amalgamation of many things. It's an amalgamation of handling your stress. It's an amalgamation of how active you are. It's an amalgamation of how well you eat. So people actually realize that being well is the need of the hour for for the future. And if something like this could strike us in a very educated modern world, that we were actually going to be living through a pandemic, I mean, who would have thought that? So I think what the pandemic has done is really woken us all up, and made a lot of things easier for professionals like us, that wellness is here to stay. Wellness is something that we all need to invest in. And it's not just about fitness, it's not just about food, it's about who you are in general, your mental well-being, how well you sleep, how good your gut is, how much do you exercise. I hope you don't over exercise, because that was also a big learning. We lost a couple of friends who were said to have been struck post COVID, and people who were exercising. So I think just in general, it's been a wake up call at many levels in a good way. And that's been there for all of us. And personally, I woke up on Instagram. So the personal side of it is that, I always was someone who shied away from Instagram. You've seen that. So I'm an Instagram baby. I woke up, I was obviously doing the same amount of work pre-COVID, but it's just that now I, came onto Instagram because I realized that, oh my God, there may be a way that, all my offline work might just be pushed away in COVID, and I needed to make, my presence felt. And so I'm an Instagram baby, and I'm 2 years old, and that's also fun.
No, I think that's wonderful, Sumaya. I've seen you grow, and that's the irony, right, of social media, that you could be very, very successful offline, but in today's day and age, and I feel somewhat, that the last 2 years, if you're not seen online, it's almost as if you're nobody. In fact, I was having a conversation.
It's like your website holds, your website means nothing. It's just static. Your offline business is there. And considering we work really hard, I'm sure all the professionals on this panel, we work really hard. We have proper jobs. Instagram is just a platform to kind of showcase what we do. But on an everyday life, I wouldn't even call myself an influencer. I would just be like by default a educator maybe. So it's crazy. I felt that need to get out there and say, hello, I exist, and I've been there now for over 22 years. So don't forget me.
Seriously, but you've done a super job, and you got verified and didn't even talk about it. So kudos to you, Sumaya. You're bloody humble. So,
No, thank you.
okay, Pooja, like I was talking about how your content is just absolutely amazing and it's digestible, no pun intended. So when it comes to tailoring diets, what do you find that works best for people?
Firstly, very thank you very much for having me on this panel. It's a pleasure to be able to talk to like-minded people. To the question that what do I think makes plans work? I think practicality is the most important one. Food is essential, but we don't really realize how important it is till we start fueling the right way. So to most, food is has to be a easy accessory that goes on
Yeah.
comfortably with our um, roller coaster lives, and we all have packed in more than we can handle. We wear multiple hats and we know how to juggle them well. We somewhere put food a little bit on the back burner because we have so many other apples to keep up in the air. The one thing that really works is the fact that your meal plans have to be practical. It has to be something that is on a day-to-day basis available in your kitchen. So if I'm going to tell you that every day you've got to go out and go to the exotic supermarket and get those exotic fruits and vegetables and then make a nutritious meal for yourself and your family, you may or may not do it as often as you'd like to. And truth be told, our Indian thalis are the best, most nutritious ways to feed this human body. Yes, it has not been medically published in journals that the best diet is the Indian diet. That's maybe because we really haven't funded as many studies as the Mediterranean diet or blah blah diets or the French diets have. But really, our thalis are the most balanced ones. Our forefathers ate on point to nutrition. Like every book, every rule in the book was followed, knowingly or unknowingly. It's miraculous how good our diets are. So I just have to pull people back and say, hey, let's not wander. Let's go back to the way our parents and our grandparents ate. Let's go back to basics. Our staple Indian cuisine, our staple Indian herbs, spices are the most nurturing way to eat. And that automatically makes people sustain it because somewhere those are by haath ka khel, so they automatically just weave and imbibe into it.
Pooja, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on calorie counting?
It's ridiculous. And I don't calorie count, and I don't recommend calorie counting. I don't recommend calories in. I don't talk about calories out. My meal plans don't show you the calorie count at all because food is not calories. That's the most disrespectful way to look at food, is when you make food calories. Food is nurture, food is love, food is giving back to this body who gives you so much. So we can't devalue something as important as food the minute you tag on and say, eat a 1200 calorie diet. This chapati has 150 calories. This dal has no, not at all. Learn to eat. Okay, I'm not saying calories are not important. Calories are important for the nutritionist to do her math, or just for you to understand portion sizes. If you don't want to go to a nutritionist, just for you to get a basic understanding, understand portion sizes, understand basic calories, make a chart in terms of portion sizes for yourself, and then juggle and play with that. Don't say, oh, I ate I burnt. Oh, I hear that ever so often. My treadmill said I did a 400 calorie workout today, so I can afford to eat that laddu or that pie. Because when you will count calories out, then you will think that you deserve to cheat and put calories in. So very simply put, initially I used to make my meal plans counting calories myself. So every meal plan, I was a calculator in my head. But that took a toll on my well-being, because I was a walking, talking calorie scanner. Everywhere I went, someone opening a tiffin box, and I would be, I'll be like, okay, 400 calories. I'd go to a party and someone would be taking a buffet, this thing, and I'd scan the plate and say 3,000 calories. And because I was all day counting calories in my head, and I was like, I'm going to go cuckoo with this myself. So I just stopped. And this is not now when computers have become such an essential part of it, but I found a programmer about 20 years ago and said, hey, make me an software or an app that will count calories for me. Here, suck out this information from my head, put it into a app that will count the calories. I will just put one roti and it will do the math at the back, and I don't want to know how many calories that one roti has, so that I stop. I was losing my mind counting calories, and I didn't want anyone to do that as well, and I didn't want to do it for myself. So I stopped doing it, and I don't recommend doing it at all. I don't count calories. I don't teach my children that this roti is X calories and that bread is X calories. Food is fuel. Learn portion sizes and then eat to nurture.
Yeah, and Pooja, I'm going to come back to you in a bit because you're talking about losing your mind, and I do want to talk about the relationship between mental health and food. But David Smith, I'd like to talk to you now about, are there any particular mental health challenges that you see women face in particular? And if you could just elaborate a little bit about that, please, since we do want to touch upon all aspects of well-being.
Right. Thank you so much, Nina. Also a pleasure to be here. And before I answer your question, Pooja, it was so reassuring hearing you speak that you don't have to count calories, just, know your portions in the Indian diets. Wonderful. Because I always feel guilt. I think that's one guilt I carry constantly with me. But coming back to your question, I think, the answer to this, all of us intuitively know. It's not a surprising one. What I see most among women at workplace is burnout. And the reason behind that, again, very predictable, is that, like Sumaya was saying, that we take on more than we can handle. And that also comes from this. I was just actually listening to the previous panel, and a few of them were talking about how we take on more, and there's this pressure to prove ourselves, to be this person who's able to handle everything, intergenerational beliefs. So that carries on, and it has just intensified so much during the pandemic and the 2 years of being home and working from home. It has been a nightmare for women, and it continues to be so. And there are a lot of these reels that I see about women going back to work. Most women actually just want to go back to work. They're done with working from home because it's no comfort. It's not easy at all. So what I see is, yes, burnout, because there's an unfair load of domestic and caregiving responsibilities, and an unfair pressure to prove yourself at the workplace, to be equally productive as your male colleagues are. So both put together, there's no space for anything else, no time for yourself, no time to do the things that will bring you some joy. that's not sustainable. So yeah, that's what is happening very often.
So, Devisa, I want to understand a little bit about what you're doing at Mana Wellness.
Right. So, a lot of things, but one thing that is sort of related to what we're talking about here today is we try to create habits around work-life blend in very sort of small bite-sized uh, bits. One of the things that we are doing right now is we're doing these wellness sessions, wellness challenges, which run for about like half an hour every day, once in the morning and once in the evening. And they're not specially for women, but it's a great idea to just block that time on your calendar and take that time out for yourself. Be part of a community where you can share, talk, feel comforted, feel heard. Just knowing that there are so many other people who are going through the same struggle and with no real solution at sight is also sometimes very helpful. So just that whole the connectedness that comes from these communities is also wonderful, apart from some insights or some habits that you might pick up. So yeah, I think that is one of the most helpful things that can be for, especially for women, since we're talking about women today.
So, Devasmita, I'm hearing you talk, and I made a couple of notes. When you're talking and you're saying small doses, right? I'm thinking of micro dosing. And the
Yes.
last 2 years, people have been talking a lot about micro dosing, even when it comes to psychedelics, right?
Hmm.
But I'm not going in that direction. But I realized that even taking small breaks is so helpful. So what I started doing is on my phone, I've got alerts from Calm at 3 o'clock, at 5 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, telling me to calm the hell down, just a little alert. So I think when you set aside times in the day just to take a break, that's very, very helpful, because I'm so wired all the time, and I think it's really helpful to just take micro breaks is what I find.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think just to add to that, the idea that women can multitask so well is also a myth. No one can really, our brains are not equipped to multitask. We're able to, like you were saying, keep a lot of apples in the air, right? But that is also very exhausting. And taking that time out, like you said, either short breaks or I think what women do is that they don't take breaks frequently enough. Consistency is missing, so they would take maybe one, they look forward to the weekend, Saturday Sunday I'm going to
Mhm.
chill, but no, you need to do that every day. You need to do that like 4 times a day for maybe 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
Sumaya, I want to come to you, that I've noticed, right? One sees your life on social media, right? So everybody has a window into your life. And it seems like you're, oh, lost Sumaya. I was going to ask her about the fact that she seems like she's constantly on. I guess she'll join us back. Yes. So Pooja, in the same vein of mental health, I'm going to ask you this question that, and Pooja, if you remember when I met you in Lucknow, I was going through some big dramatic breakup, and I didn't have a history of being bulimic, but suddenly with this horrible narcissistic experience, I became bulimic to the point of, I'm my mother's listening. Holy shit, I totally forgot. She doesn't know this, but anyway, mother, I'm fine now. But but what happened was I was puking my guts out to the point of my blood coming from my throat and from my nose, which is bloody scary, right? And I'm okay. I mean, I spoke to my therapist, didn't need medication, but we worked around it. So I want you to talk a little bit about the relationship between mental health and eating disorders, if you could, please.
So there's a massively strong connection between what you eat and how you feel and therefore how you eat. um, Initially, it was first told to us that your brain is the epicenter, right? That it is the brain that commands how you think and feel, and therefore what you pick up and what you eat. And your brain controls you. With a lot of functional medicine and a lot of studies and a lot of studying between the pathway of the gut and the brain and gut access through the vagus nerve, as it has been studied, we are now told that for every one signal that the brain gives the gut sends nine signals back to the brain. Okay. So, very clearly, how you eat has a far stronger influence on your mind than your mind has on your choices of what you eat. Are you understanding? Right? Because your gut is giving you a constant feedback. Your anger, irritability, moods, food choices, reflex actions, anger, just suddenly breaking out into a yell or a scream, has a lot to do with what you have eaten and what is sitting in your gut. So there's an extremely, massively strong connect. I'm not saying mental health is not important, it's massively important, but just addressing mental health in terms of counseling and proper medication if needed is not the only way till you don't correct the food you're putting into your system. Because if the food that's going in is all wrong, all the emotions that are coming out with the wrong messages being sent from the gut to the brain, the healing is becoming difficult, the healing is becoming slower, the healing requires more aid. But if you learn the art of eating well, and therefore having a calmer mind, having more serotonin being produced, because 90% of your serotonin is produced in your gut. So serotonin is your calming hormone. Now, if 90% of it is between 70 and 90, there are various studies that say various numbers. So between 70 and 90% is produced in your gut. But if my gut is not being nurtured to make good quantity of serotonin, then I'm constantly edgy, tired, and crabby. So food has a massive influence on your mental health, and we've got to realize that, because mental health is something that everyone needs to talk about. Make it, of course, make it accessible, make it open, make it acceptable. But without good nutrition, mental health is partial. So please address food when you talk about helping people achieve mental, emotional stability, mental stability, all of it. Coming to eating disorders, of course, eating disorder stems from how you look at yourself in the mirror. Okay, so it's definitely your image of yourself. So whether it's anorexia nervosa or it's bulimia, it stems from my relationship with food and my relationship with myself. And if I'm not happy with the way I look, or at least I don't see the way, I'm not happy the way I'm looking, then automatically I have this love hate relationship with food, where I eat food that I love and then I hate myself for doing that, and therefore purge it out, as in the case of bulimia. Or I just absolutely refuse to eat any food because I'm so scared of that one ingredient that is giving me nurture. I'm just equating it to calories, and I just think the minute I eat one roti, I have put on weight. Or if I eat rice, I have put on weight, or I have a punch. So they are both very, very connected. They both require physiological, psychological counseling, as well as a physiologically apt diet. And it can be very easily done. It is something that sounds very difficult, but with the right guidance, with the right nutrition, with the right health, it can be very tactfully addressed, and you can be put on the right relationship with food. Because we all have this skewed relationship with food. Food is our best friend, food is our emotional buster, food is our boredom buster, food is celebration, food is comfort, food is PMS comfort, food is everything. We've given food a very high darja in life, where it's not needed, and but we're not giving it the right darja where it's actually needed. So learning these relationships with food is the epitome of being able to successfully manage your life and not putting your life in the ologist world, whether it is the diabetologist, cardiologist, psychologist, nutritionist. We're just handing our lives away to doctors because we are not learning the art to eat
Wow.
well. I can go on and on talking, so I'm just.
Yeah, no, Pooja, but Pooja, it's so interesting. So obviously, you're a nutritionist, you eat right, and look at the way you speak. I know that I kind of have this love-hate relationship with food. So the way I speak, the way I conduct my life is also reflected, right? So it's so important to have balance there. I mean, this thought occurred to me as I was noticing the way you conduct yourselves. Very interesting.
Thank you. We have to,
So Maya,
the minute the minute, I just want to highlight this, that, we have given food a lot of wrong connections to ourselves. Uh, Learning the right path of weight loss, or I want beautiful skin, or I want better immunity in COVID times, or I want to learn fitness better. All of that is all great. But the first relationship that we all need to fix is to understand, what is food to you? What does food do to you? I just wish it was taught to us in school instead of teaching us history and history and I don't know what all that was taught to us. I wish they taught us human physiology. What How does your liver work? How does your kidney work? What does high protein do to your kidney? What does high fat do to your liver? What Please understand that every time we eat, we are giving our body information for it to work fine, or information for it to go downhill. And if we just understand that one relationship right with food, that food is nurture, and we are eating food to be able to live life to the best quality we can. And food is nothing that tickles us here, but something that nurtures us all the way through mind, body, and soul. Automatically, we'll be able to conquer health. Right now, we've just let our health go, but we can just grab it back if we just learn this one relationship with food, which is not rocket science, which is not something that requires you to come to a nutritionist or to do a course in nutrition. It's really very basic, but you just have to understand it first to say that I am eating not because I don't have the time, or I have too much time, or I have this love hate relationship. I am eating because I want to be able to live life to the best quality that I can.
How lovely. We're going to highlight this in one of our capsule videos. So, Maya, we lost you for a bit, and Devasmita was talking about taking breaks. So, one is privy to your life, right? Seeing you on social media, and it seems like you're constantly on, Sumaya. Do you take breaks? And what does a
Of
break look
course.
like for Sumaya? What does a break look like for Sumaya?
No, of course. I mean, taking a cue from what Pooja says, it
Hmm?
just I think workout, food, everything is it requires a real deep understanding. Like the fitness industry in itself has taken such a huge boom from when I started to what it is now, right? Teenagers want to exercise, teenagers want to eat right. I had a 10-year-old, my younger daughter is 10. Her friend walked in and say, "Oh, auntie, I'm not eating carbs." And little did she realize that carbs means fruits and vegetables, which she just meant saying, "Okay, I'm not eating grains." But I found that really odd, and at some level, I found that deeply disturbing because I was just like, while there's a way of looking at it that it's great. I wish my parents told us how to eat well and not to stay away and to stay away from the junk food. But that was all a part of growing up, and all of a sudden, I feel that innocence is kind of taken away, especially from parents who have had girls. There's so much pressure. So I think there needs to be a very big education and a voice out there which says that look, it needs to be balanced. It's not exercise anorexia is also something. Exercise overload is also something. A lot of people, I'm sure Pooja will agree with me, is that a lot of times people have issues losing weight because they're over exercising and their cortisol levels are at all time high, because at the end of the day, when you're over exercising, you are putting a lot of stress on your body. Exercise is stress. It's a kind of a physical stress. So all of us, all these people who are now all of a sudden, especially during lockdown when everybody was going crazy doing HIIT as an everyday workout. HIIT has a very specific space in the exercise pyramid. It's a workout that it's done to challenge your heart. It's a workout that needs to happen maybe once a week as a part of your routine. But it's not a workout that you do all the time, because you will end up having a non-rested body, raised cortisol levels, disturbance in sleep, nutritional deficiencies if you're not fueling for that workout well enough. So again, these are all the things. So coming back to the question that you asked me, I've always been about balance. Of course, in the 20s, I always felt that I was invincible, and I could spend hours on the field and hours in training. But being a woman and being a mother and going through pregnancies are very humbling experiences. Injuries are a humbling experience. They teach you, how to be intelligent. They teach you how to be prioritized, and they teach you how to understand that the right amount, in my case, less is more, is the right balance. So like Pooja was also saying, it's not really about being obsessive. It's about finding it when it actually finding that balance which is actually beneficial to you rather than being harmful. And I'm sure Pooja sees that a lot. There's so much information overload now with intermittent fasting, ketogenic diets. I mean, I get that all the time. Can I do this? Can I do that? I think now as professionals, we're disengaging you more with the what's available on the internet, And actually, that's become more our job, trying to educate you. Well, that is why it's done, and that is why you should be doing this. And intermittent fasting is about this, and it's not a weight loss tool. It's beyond a weight loss tool. You need to. So there's a lot of that happening, and I think now the discussions that we're having are more about trying to educate people about balance, educate
Mm-hmm.
people about you need to understand what is that works for you. Four of us on this platform may have the same goals, which may be to look good, feel well, but we all have different ways of getting around it. Your injury limitations, my injury limitations, time commitment, priorities, they're very different. So exercise, nutrition, it's all very unique, each one of us, and that DNA is really unique. Like for example, nutritionally, if you ask me, something as simple as a green apple just doesn't work for me. It gives me a lot of indigestion, it gives me a lot of acidity, but green apple is healthy, and it's a holy grail for some, but it's a vice for me. So that understanding, and to be able to look at professionals for help, is now really the time, is now what is balanced. So I'm off a lot of times. It just seems that I'm on, but I'm off. And I've learned that less is more. And I've learned that in my 40s, it is I'll do myself more harm if I overdid it. I don't want to get injured at this point. I want everyone to also realize that training is not about overtraining and what you see on Instagram. So that's how I curated my Instagram page. My Instagram page is not about see what I can do. It's about I think what you should do. Things that are simple, things that are fitness is made very intimidating on social media now. You need to do crazy things, a 16-inch box jump, a 20-inch box, and actually not. You need to really go back to the basics of just moving about, and just making sure that you're active, making sure you're walking, making sure you're getting your strength training in, making sure, of course, you do a hit session. But it's really coming back
How do
to
we know,
me to
Sumaya?
make.
Sumaya, sorry, I have to cut you for a second. How do I know? What if I'm not in my 30s, but pretend I'm in my 30s and I want to start working out now? What do you tell somebody? It's great to know that balance has to be struck, but where do I start? What if I'm like, I haven't been, a fitness person like you my entire life, and I'm in my 30s or 40s, and I say I want to start working out. Where do I begin?
Just begin with actually moving. Fitness is all this I'm sure you've heard about functional training.
Yeah, yeah.
Functional training is what our ancestors did in the khet. We were jhadu pocha, going to the khet, doing all of that. That was functional training, lifting, putting things back. Now, because the whole urban lifestyle has become such that we don't move, so we need to go to the gym. And that is really ironic, actually, because I keep telling people it's not about the 1 hour that you do in the gym. It's about what do you do for the next 23 hours. You're only spending 4 hours a week with me. So, and that is not going to bring about any change in your life. You need to be on a general, accepting movement, accepting eating healthy, eating well, eating good food. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really about finding that platform for yourself. So it has to be really simple. Go for a walk. There are enough apps to show you how to do basic things correctly. Just lifting weights. You don't have to do a 16-inch box jump to achieve a six-pack ab. According to me, abs are made in the kitchen. No matter how many hours you spend in the day, they will never shine through if you're not eating well. You need to eat for your gut. You need to be not bloated. So you need to understand what works for your body and what doesn't. So exercising is actually really simple. I don't know why it's become so intimidating, and why does it require some expertise to make it start. Yes, if you are somebody who's going to start exposing yourself to complicated moves, and I would say that I would recommend you to hire a trainer at least for the first 10 sessions, so you learn form and technique and don't get injured, because I'll see a lot of people getting injured for no reason. Young children getting, young people getting injured because they're doing it all wrong. So that would be my only thing, that if you're trying to embark upon a journey, seek a little bit of professional guidance initially, because exercise technique is a bit complicated. You need to be flexible, you need to be stable, you need to have a strong core to start doing a burpees, and not just immediately wake up and say, my first day of exercise, I'm going
Yeah.
to do 100 burpees. So that's the only path where I would say you need a little bit of guidance. Otherwise, basically, you just need to move. Get up, go get yourself a glass of water. Don't ask your DDs to do it. Go for a walk. Walk your dog, and
Awesome.
go to the gym 3 times a week if you can.
No,
Just to
that's
do a
great.
little bit of your strength work.
What I've been doing the last 2 years, my trainer has literally, it started off as Zoom and now it's pathetic. It's my phone. The phone is put like this with some, one of those nutrition supplement thingies on it. And I sit there and I work out with my phone. And I feel like I'm doing a workout with my phone. And I feel like I'm not doing any exercise.
I think we lost her, no?
Yeah. So I think we should take this forward.
I think we should take the cup. But tell me something, Pooja, do you see this a lot? Like people are like overthinking food and they come to you now no longer for guidance, but they come to you with dictatorial things that I want to do intermittent fasting. I want to do, why are you not putting me on a ketogenic plan? So it's more dictatorial as opposed to getting insights of you. Is that happening to you as well?
Me
because
back.
because everyone is being fed with so much information that it's an
Yeah,
overload. See, if you're not an expert in the field, and there is so much information given to you and for free, the net will throw it at you, your friends will give it to you,
right.
co-workers will give you information. I'm just overloaded with so much, and then I pick bits and pieces from all the little information that was thrown at me, and now I want to make my own khichdi of a few things that I learned. And then there are lots of people that will come to me and give me a tailor-made
List of,
requirement. Yes, because they picked up one aspect from what someone was saying and four aspects from what someone else was saying, and they said now they have decided this is the way they need to eat. So now chalo, you make me a meal plan that gives me all of this. um, to
I
them
really
I
wish there was one generic magic pill, but there really isn't. It's just about really, I've done it for long enough to say that there's no magic pill. It's a lifestyle that you adopt, which doesn't have to be crazy. Even though we're perceived as being crazy and obsessive. I mean, I get that a lot from my friends. So from people who
Mhm.
I'm professionals with, it's different. But when
Yeah.
it's friends around me will be like, oh my God, you're working out all the time, oh my God, you won't eat that at night. At the end of the day, it's not like
Yeah.
that. It's just that for us, it's just very easy to stay consistent. And for you, it may not be, but it's not hard. Once you
Yeah.
start recognizing the
so that's the,
benefits of it.
so that's the thing. Now what we have to teach everyone is not to become an over animated version of yourself.
Yeah.
All you need to do
Yeah.
is just calm down. We need to learn how to calm down. You want to eat good food, great, but don't be obsessive about it.
Mhm.
Don't weigh your 100 grams khana. Don't weigh yourself first thing in the morning. That's obsession. I've lost 100 grams, I've gained 400 grams, so I do. So on a day to day basis, I have to give this example because every day I will meet at least, if not three, at least one
Uh-huh.
client
Yeah,
who
I
will
can
be
imagine.
who will be so worked up that, Pooja, you told me to eat rice for dinner, but it just doesn't. Every time I ate rice, next day morning I was 300 grams up. Like,
Oh,
what
good
is wrong?
Lord.
Why are we doing this? So this obsession needs to stop because we are putting so much pressure on food. We are putting
Yeah.
so much pressure on
I think,
ourselves.
yeah, I think that's so true, Pooja. And I think, Devismita, I'd like you to jump in over here and talk a little bit about what, according to you, is the role of food in coping with emotional challenges, because I think that's what ends up happening.
True, true. I was just listening to both of them, and one thing that comes to me is that everything that we know and do behaviorally has happened through repetition. Something as simple as our name to our eating habits to the way we, look at ourselves or think about ourselves. And the way to change is also just that. Pick up one little thing and just keep doing it consistently over a period of time, and it's going to become a part of you, right? So as long as we're just being mindful about what we are picking up and just slowly, consistently keep doing that, I think we'll achieve whatever target or goals we've set out for, whether it is fitness or nutrition or just purely mental health. And also, so much of it is about lifestyle, right? None of these things can be looked at in silos. It is just a combination of everything else. But food, I think I couldn't agree more with Pooja, when she said how important a role the gut plays in your mental health. But the other way around is also that you're more likely to eat junk food. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, Pooja. If you're up late at night, if you are binging something and you're sort of not centered emotionally, and these experiences have become more and more a part of our life. I don't remember as a child watching any of my grandparents or my uncles and aunts staying awake at 2 3 o'clock in the night, because everybody would go to sleep. Zada se zada 11 o'clock, everyone's out, lights off. But as those lifestyle changes happen, everything sort of, snowballs and becomes a vicious circle. We are eating wrong, it's triggering our moods wrong, and then it just kind of spirals. But at a more sort of surface level, what we see a lot is emotional eating, because food is associated with comfort. Certain foods are associated, I mean, not only do they actually chemically generate that sense of comfort, they're just psychologically associated with feeling good, probably because it has memories attached for me, or nostalgia or whatever. So we eat to cope when we are feeling low, and typically women tend to do more of this. The reason being, we don't have the headspace to think about our emotional state the entire day. A lot of us, right? We don't give ourselves that time and consideration to see, oh, why am I feeling like this? What happened here? Where is that coming from? So it's all sort of swept under the carpet till maybe late at night or somewhere in the afternoon, when you catch yourselves catching a little, getting a little bit of a break, and there's this overwhelming desire to quickly do something to make yourself feel better, to pick yourself up. And you end up eating like a bar of chocolate or something else, which is probably, not great, which probably you didn't intend to eat. And then there's the whole cycle of feeling guilty again and another emotional overload, and we keep going like that, which becomes very difficult to break out of, because again, repetition strengthens it behaviorally. So yeah, the whole role food plays in coping is sort of tricky. When it becomes something that we use to sort of emotionally pick ourselves up, it's usually not healthy. Like, I haven't heard anyone eating curd rice or apples to pick themselves up. It's usually chocolates, fries, things like that.
Absolutely. Devasmita, I just feel 45 minutes is not even touching the tip of the iceberg with the kind of, treasure troves we're sitting with right now. I mean, the three of you together, I feel 45 minutes, we haven't even been able to touch the tip of the iceberg. But, in the interest of time, I know Pooja has somewhere to go, and Sumaya has another engagement as well. I mean, I'm happy that we were able to have this conversation. And Devasmita, one thing that I really feel that keeps coming back to me, I've been introduced to mindfulness the last 5 years. My mother keeps telling me, she's like, Ninna, you're a fraud. She's like, look at you. I'm like, mother, if I didn't meditate, if I didn't even do this much, imagine what a bundle of nerves I would be. So I think that's one of my biggest takeaways from listening to each one of you. It's basically being mindful, whether it's the portion, it's the exercise, and how you think. So thank you so much. I'm so happy we were
Thank
able to
you.
touch the tip of the iceberg. Thank you so much. It was wonderful having you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thanks. I really wish we had more time. I mean, really could not do justice to this wonderful panel of ladies who are like a treasure trove of information.